The criteria for family-based immigration might include different things depending if what type of relationship one has and if they hold citizenship in the United States. But overall, one needs to be a citizen here in the United States, financially stable, and who can prove to federal government that they're going to be able to take care of the family member that is asked to be petitioned here to United States. Additionally, there should be proof of immediate relationship to family member. Family members are categorized in different subcategories from F1 to F4. The F1 category will include family members such as spouses and minor children, and then it goes into children that are over 21, parents, and then siblings, and so on. So it's important to understand is, first of all, to check those categories. Also check the factors of inadmissibility to United States. Those could be available on the USCIS website. There's different factors of inadmissibility to make sure that one has good health, that there's no significant criminal charges, there's no association with terrorist groups that are identified as terrorist groups in the United States. Because you don't want to start the petition process in realizing that you're not going to be admissible to United States, and perhaps you have to deal with that step first to get a waiver or to disclose that information of inadmissibility prior to your application. For family-based visas, there's going to be different subcategories depending on the relationship of relatives. So anyone can check, and you can when you're searching for this information, you can check F1, F2, F3, F4 subcategories, and you will be able to get more requirements, what is required for that specific categories. In fact, you can use this information and go now to USCIS website. For each subcategory of this visa, the process time is going to be very different. So that's another point to remember when you're applying for such petitions. The process time will be different depending on subcategory you're applying for. The process for family member petitions can be complicated and long process of applying for family-based petitions. The first step is to start your petition with USCIS, and where you're going to be proving your relationship to your family member that will be beneficiary of family-based petition. So that usually includes things such as marriage certificate, birth certificates, right, to prove that relationship. Now, once that process is approved, one doesn't get visa. The information from USCIS goes to Department of State, where Department of State will send this information to United States Embassy in the country where the beneficiary resides currently. So, for example, let's say we have someone who's a citizen in the United States and applying for a spouse who's in Pakistan. So, Department of State of the United States will send the information after it's been approved by USCIS to start the interview with U.S. Embassy in Pakistan. So that would be the second step. Now, at that step, the beneficiary now will be interviewed with United States Embassy. They're generally asking questions that you indicate that you already provided answers to in your initial petition, just to understand if the questions were correct and understand your intent and background of moving to United States. Now, after the interview with United States Embassy, the officer will make a decision if you're granted a visa petition. Once the visa petition is granted, one is going to be able to relocate to United States. But it's very important to remember you do not get a green card automatically just because you were approved for family visa petition. You still need to go through green card application and apply for a green card for your family member. Now, in that step, again, it's going to be a lot of demographic information that needs to be provided. You will have to provide a proof of your approved family visa petition. In addition to that, the beneficiary will have to provide a financial disclosure of their assets to show to federal government of the United States that they're going to be capable of financially sponsoring the beneficiary. This portion is very important because in a short definition, you're entering into a contract of federal government that you're going to be financially responsible for your immediate family member. That means once they're here, they're not going to be able to obtain public benefits. Now, if they do, and if federal government receives this information, one can be facing lawsuit initiated by federal government because of the breach of the contract due to violation of providing this financial stability for your loved ones. We did not see a lot of those lawsuits, let's say 20, 15 years ago, but most recently, I would say starting 6 years ago, those lawsuits were definitely initiated. And I can say that federal government does check and is making sure that those federal contracts are not violated. And when you're providing this financial information and you're sponsoring your loved one into the United States, that you are financially responsible. There's a variety of documentation that will be needed based on a family petition, depending on criteria, depending on the relationship of the loved ones. We can start marriage petitions. Those are very, very, very common petitions. Besides your demographic information, identity documentation, and so on, you are required to prove good faith marriage. So that means you're going to be including not just marriage certificates, but some evidence from your ceremony, registrations for gifts, if your loved one is on your lease or mortgage, if you have children together, and so on. So what the government is looking for is to ensure that you didn't enter into the marriage just to get an immigration benefit, but this is a lawful good faith marriage. Now, if it's sponsorship for the minor, then you need to provide birth certificates, right, identification information, and so on. If it's for a parent, then you need to provide such documentation as, again, birth certificates, nationality, identity information, and so on. Why it's important and beneficial to work with lawyers in such circumstances and for the petitions, what we do, we provide cover letters. That's something that attorneys can write where we can state relevant cases and relevant law and support your case with the factual background. So that way, when your petition is evaluated by the USCIS officer, they can see the case law and they see your qualifications and requirements that were established in your petition. So basically, they just get all the information together and nicely presenting this to USCIS officers. The more thorough is your initial application, the more information you provide in the right format. It's important that all translations are supported by certified translations if you have records that are not in English and so on. The more thorough is your application, the better chances that your application will be approved. There will be no delays and denials.